Hey, what's up, everybody? Amish Country Mets fan here, and this is Amish Apple Podcast episode 6. I have my guest tonight is Greg, aka at the Real Black 14 on Twitter. If you're watching on my YouTube page, you'll be able to see it scrolling there on the bottom. Please give him a follow. He's a great follow. We'll get into why in a bit, but how you doing tonight, Greg?
I'm doing pretty good. Like we discussed before in the break room, we can't lose tonight. So, we can go.
Yeah, always a good thing when you can't lose.
Right.
And then the Cardinals stink, so hopefully maybe we can take a couple games this weekend.
Yeah, well, judging by how the season has gone, we can be beat. It doesn't matter how trash. So,
That's very true. So we'll jump right into it. How did you become a Mets fan?
So as early as I can remember, I was just flipping through the. I must have been like 6 or 7 years old, and the late '80s, I would say the '90s would be, and I would catch their telecasts or their broadcasts, I should say. I'd be watching Matthew Sasser. Doc was still on the team. I remember seeing the colors and liking orange and blue, and that equipment looked cool, and then I just ended up watching. I did also watch. So there was a period where, what I had to make, but listen, watch the broadcast, look at colors, the tax, Mel Hall, it wasn't the orange and blue. So over time, I stuck with the taking a ride for decades. That's essentially how it.
Awesome. So you've born and raised in the city or just outside of the city or?
Yeah. So I was born in Queens.
Awesome.
And I ran the streets for a while. Then at the ripe old age of 1, my parents moved me to Long Island. So 1 year I moved to the island and there ever since. But if there were a borough that I would have most affiliated with Queens, because I have family still in Queens, and that's the borough where I was born. So
there you go. He can claim it. Queens born and bred, and we'll stick to that and make sense why you're a Mets fan. So how often do you get to games?
Well, I'd like to say 5 times a year. 3 times with family, 2 times with friends. At least 5 times a year. Although last year I made it to around 8 or 9. For that playoff series, I had to break the bank and make sure 2 out of 3. And I ended up going 1-1. I went there for the Max Start Friday and the Saturday. And the Max Start was completely abysmal, as you could remember. And the Jim Start was emotional. We got the job done. We got for 1 more day, and then you all, the rest.
We needed you there for the last game. That was the problem.
You think so? I went, but it wasn't perfect. So.
That's true, but I don't know. So who's your favorite all-time Met?
It's a great question. Favorite all-time Met? There's so many. I could say Edgardo Alfonso.
That's a good one.
I could say Robin Ventura.
That's another good one.
Yeah, I mean, even when we were not, I loved put Bernard Gilbert. There's so many, but if I had to pick one, it would have to be, Doc Gooden. No. Well, actually, no. I'm sorry. Let me keep it real. I had a complete love affair. I I guess pause, right? I had a huge love for Cliff Floyd. How do I not mention him?
Oh,
I go on interviews. I love Cliff Floyd. Lefty, power back, played in, a good offensive line for our baseball. I feel like he was underappreciated. I feel like that's what I would look like if I was a baseball player with less injury. I hope Cliff doesn't watch.
he had a very pretty swing from the left side too, man. That was a beautiful swing.
Yeah, lefties typically have beautiful swings. I mean, everybody talks about John Olerud, but yeah, I agree. Cliff had the pretty swing and power. The power was
Yeah,
ridiculous. So
yeah. That offense, man, I could get going. That Cliff Floyd, Delgado, Beltran, Wright, Reyes. Oh boy,
and
how I Valentine. Well, yeah, man,
Porter killing it.
Paul LaDuca. Yep. Oh man, that was such. I wish we had that offense on the field right now.
I miss it so much. I would wake up every day so confident, and I'd look at other people's lineups and I'd be like, yo, like we're about to, be bombs over Baghdad on you guys.
Yeah. It was one of those things where almost every night you felt like you were going to go out there and put up 10 runs.
Yeah, it was really special. And anybody who I've seen it, remembered it, like, yeah, I mean, it was a special time. Very
sure was. All right, so that's your favorite, or you named a few, but we landed on Cliff. So on the current team, who's your guy?
Jeff McNeil, without question.
Jeff McKitts, all right.
Yeah, ever since I became a baseball player about 12 years ago, batting average has become one of the statistics that I you're doing well at batting and OBP. Be a little bit better at that. But he had strong numbers. He's been consistently accountable aside from the 2021 season, and also this season he's a little subpar. Everyone's subpar, but
yeah,
that guy that when he's not trying to go for the homer swing, he's got the line drive swing going. He's one of the best hitters in the game, and he's proven that.
I can't say I disagree. Your favorite Met memory?
Okay. So I was at the 1986 celebration, not in the 86, but the 20-year reunion in 2006. And before the game, there were players. And I had a few beers already. I was with a bunch of my soon-to-be brother-in-laws, and I decided to stand on one of the chairs. We were field level already, so we already had a good view. But I stood on one of the seats, and at the time, it was not uncool to have your pants sagged, and I didn't have a belt on, right? So people got to see my. One fan yelled from a rows back, said, "Sit down, burnt bagel!" And my bro-in-law out. He couldn't breathe. He was laughing. I thought it was really funny. It's one of those moments. My butt was like in my butt. So we took, but that is one of my memories.
That's hilarious. I love that. That's a unique one for sure. Nobody else can say that one. Unless somebody was sitting behind you and I would ask them, but they'd be like, yeah, there's one time I was at a Met game and this guy's pants fell down right in front of my face.
Like the whole comment, sit down, burnt bagel. Because the whole day I was thinking, well, I guess butt looks like a bagel, but how? And then after a while, it dawned on me why that reference.
Oh man, that's a good one. Burnt bagel. Yeah. All right. So for the people watching this, I mean, I know you have a big following on Twitter, but not everybody watching this is from necessarily familiar, you do Mets jingles for the players. How did you get into that?
So ever since I was a little boy, I used to make jingles mainly, businesses and commercials. I would, alter, different. I would create jingles that way. Then, like years ago, when I had my kids, I created like diaper change jingles to distract them. Um, but throughout my Met fandom, I've made personal, like chants and jingles. It's just something that's always come natural to me. Um, so after a while, I guess with the 877 runs now thing blowing up in 2019, I think that's when my public put them on my Twitter, and it caught on like wildfire, and I've been doing them publicly ever since. I had no idea that I would get the reactions that I've gotten, because I'm just being an idiot. So, it's how it's come about. I've been this person this whole time of, making idiotic songs and parody.
I gotta say that they are highly creative, and I especially love lately. You have that. I don't know if he's your friend or who he is necessarily, but he does like he's putting music to him, like his own like little riffs. It's almost like you're producing a whole thing.
Yeah, so I've actually never met them
Oh,
before.
really?
And he is so it's Jordan. Jordan is absolutely amazing. Jordan, I believe, is. And what happened was Athlete Logos got up him as well. He's really good there. Athlete Logos had a request for me to do like play the kids to Let's Get It On, and I'm like, look, I don't take requests, right? So a lot of people give me requests, but I don't. But for him, I was like, you know what, this guy's special. He made me my own custom Jingle Man, um, lighting system thing, uh, you know, and I was like, I owe you one. So I made a custom Let's Play the Kids for him. He shares it. Then Jordan Simpson, the one kid that he is, he laced the track, and it became a whole big thing. And that was so much fun. I love it when not only my stuff blows up, but like a creative idea gains a snowball effect and becomes a whole big thing to have people in good spirits. You know.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like your jingles obviously are great without the added production value, but him like adding all that to it and getting creative with it. That I mean, it really makes him pop a little more.
Yeah, actual musician. Like, yeah, if a professional gets their hands on my stuff, I mean, it can't be beat, right? I mean,
Yeah,
really like enhance the quality of all of it. So,
it's good stuff. So I mean, I've asked you this before, but for the masses watching, hopefully watching, your favorite one that you've done.
okay, that's a great question. So, I'm going to give you two. So,
Okay.
one, Domo Origato, Michael Conforto.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, I got to say, I was half in the bag when I made it. I blasted the song on the speaker. I was like, yo, I'm just going to let it go. And I just started screaming at the TV. And in my opinion, it wasn't a popular one. It didn't get a lot of likes. But those are like my favorites because they're like underdogs, right? But I actually thought, me personally, like, I think that's actually one of my best ones. Um, and then the other one is Mazika. Uh, that one is funny because like the sound quality is so bad that it's good, and it's just it's to the Africa song by Toto. Um,
Yeah. Good song.
but the sound just fills your ears, and then it's just me with the squeaky voice. I'm not even trying to sing, and it just ends up being so bad that it's. If you haven't seen that, I have to share it.
No, I've seen. I think I've seen almost all of yours. Like I follow them pretty religiously. They always make me laugh. And when the Mets are doing bad, you kind of need that little comedic relief in your life, and you definitely provide that. Um, Brings a smile. I gotta say, you gotta. I'm sure bringing a smile to a ton of Mets fans' faces. So I'm sure we all appreciate you for that.
I appreciate Met fans appreciate me because I am one of them. You know, um, and if we could laugh together, it definitely makes things a lot better. I know there's so many content creators out there that are Met fans, and they make me laugh and smile all the time. Even the non-content creators, the members of Jingle Nation, who just follow my stuff and constantly share it, like they do make me feel better as well. However, they also understand that the more success we have, the more jingles I end up making. Right? We
I
actually
have,
there's nothing to sing about.
yeah, I have noticed that you're a lot more active when the Mets are doing well, which I can't blame you.
Right? Yeah.
Um,
When we are not successful, guess what I'm going through? I'm going through what everyone else is going through.
yep.
So it's hard for me to be when I'm actually mad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of. I mean, I just started doing this content stuff, and it's part of what I'm finding difficult is that there's days I just don't want to do it. But it's like to try to get myself out there, I got to be consistent with it. But when the Mets are constantly getting beat down and everything's negative, and you just get beat over the head constantly with more and more negativity, it's like, okay, how much can I take before I need to just check out?
Right. You legitimately get upset
Yeah.
because you're a Mets fan. Yeah.
Um, I do want to say though, I appreciate you doing the remix on the Lindor one. Not that I didn't like the opera thing you had going on, but my guy needed a little more flavor with.
You were not the only one. It was weird. Well, it wasn't weird. The Puerto Rican community has been reaching out to me um, about the Lindor there, and everybody's respectful about it. They're like, not that the Lindor is bad. We like that you're calling it Lindor, and we like that. But come on, bro, put some sazon on that.
Exactly.
So I did.
Just a little sprinkle.
Just a little.
And using Big Pun was absolutely perfect. Like you nailed that.
Well, Big Pun is one of my favorite rappers of all time, so it wasn't really that difficult of a thing to do. He came on my Spotify shuffle, and then bam, it came right into my head. And then I was like, oh, it's not 100% that I can use Lindor. There's a few that I can use Lindor, and I'll sprinkle those in as the goes.
Yeah, I gotta say your creativity, man, it's like does it just pops in your head just like that? You don't like, or do you sit down and like write them out?
I would say for about 70% of the jingles, they pop into my. The other 30%, I actually have to sit down, think about. But a lot of times when I'm just listening to music, things just connect in the brain, and
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a big I think part of the reason I like you so much is I'm not only a huge Mets fan, I'm a big music guy. I used to DJ up until a couple years ago, so all kinds of music. I like it. If you go through my Spotify playlist, it's all over the place. If you do go on a road trip with me, you don't know what's going to come on next. Anything from salsa music to rap to country to rock, it's all over. EDM sometimes. Like I don't live in one lane, so you mixing my two loves, music and the Mets, like you're like the perfect follow for me on Twitter.
I really appreciate that, and you know what I'm finding too, the commonality with a lot of my followers is they have an enthusiasm for music, and some of them are actually musicians. So when I have that kind of buy, people that are professionals, who get paid to do music, produce music, write music, um, DJ, or even just the music fans, concert goers, people like that. I mean, that's a huge honor to me because that means that, even though I'm messing around, they're recognizing some type, right?
Yeah. No, it's great, man. I like when the first, obviously, like you said, the first one that really popped off was the eight, the Runs Now one. And once I heard that, I was like, all right, I mean, I'm intrigued now. And then I didn't know if it was going to be a one-off thing or what, but then you kept doing them, and I was like, oh, this guy is the best.
Yeah, like where I stop now. Then what was crazy with 7-7 Runs Now thing is it took off to a point where I got into a battle with Frank, and he was talking about how he did it first, and it got bigger that way. And then next thing you know, I don't know if you remember, SNY actually ended up doing a commercial with the Talking Heads to that melody too. So it's like, wow,
Yeah.
out from Barstool, there became like it's so crazy.
Man, let me guess. You didn't profit from that commercial, did you?
I not, but you know what? That's not really all I'm about. I'm not
Oh,
looking.
yeah.
I'm not really looking for that. I'm just overjoyed at the fact that the fan base took that on and had such a good time with it. And in fact, I started talking to some of my followers about the ultimate vision. Like, what do I really want out of this? And somebody had mentioned earlier today, they were like, I'd love because just let me back up for a second. So for the jingle strike, because I wasn't gonna do an in-game jingle for a week, I'm still kind of on that program. So I wrote out I typed out the Nemo lyrics, after the game. Apparently, people enjoyed those posts, and people were saying, you know what? Now that we have the lyrics, maybe we should be singing these in the stadium. I'm like, that's the vision. You see, you take
That would be awesome.
you take these jingles and we start singing them in the stadium, like I do when I'm out there. A
Yeah,
lot
it
of people.
would be like a soccer game in England where they're all singing in unison their little chants and all that stuff.
That would be so beautiful. That's the vision right there. I would love that.
That would be amazing. I'd love to be at a game where one of your jingles, everybody's just singing it.
Right? And like from a culture standpoint, from a Mets culture standpoint, that would be we would be the first in the MLB to do that. It would make us even more unique than we already are.
Yeah, for sure. That would be awesome. Yeah, we are. I mean, we already have the seven line. I mean, I know they get their slack from some sections of Mets Twitter and whatnot, but yeah, add us singing your songs too, and we'll have the most unique fan base in baseball by far.
Absolutely. Between the different clothing lines, between uh, all the musicians and all the content creators that we have in our Mets Twitter community, I really believe that we are the most unique and most diverse in Major League Baseball. And you know, I love the fact that like that's my team and that this is my community that I get to have fun with every single day, to be honest.
No
Although
doubt.
although I let's be real though. Like when we suck, we're all fighting. But that's also
Oh yeah,
New York reality as well.
yeah, for sure. I try to stay out of that as much as possible. Sometimes I have to like literally restrain myself. I like see a tweet and I'm like, put down your phone, hide your phone because you get so like in like this passion that you want to just start typing back. It's like, nah, you just don't get in the back and forth because it hardly ever ends well.
It never ends well. I got to tell you, and when I was younger, I used to get into internet wars all the time, and I eventually got to a place where I'm like, look, when you get to a certain point in your life, most people, when they approach adulthood, you're not going to change their minds, not in a debate,
Exactly.
especially not on the internet. So, rather you save yourself a lot of time from fighting with these people. And like you said, it gets very tempting. It's very tempting. I was actually I'm friends with a lot of different people in a lot of different circles of Mets Twitter. And there's been many times where I've been caught in the middle, and
Mm,
you end up like having to back off, and lose touch with some people that you love, and you're like, man, that really sucks. But at the end of the day, I'm a grown ass man, he, you know, getting in the wars because at the end of the day, we're talking about how important is that in the grand scheme of your actual life.
exactly.
So
Yeah, I think the Mets are all important to us, but there's a time and a place where you need to like get your priorities straight a little bit, and it's like, is it really worth losing a friend or losing? I mean, even family members I've seen go at it over this stuff. It's like it ain't worth. It's just like politics. It ain't worth getting into all that.
right, and you don't want to lose. You don't want to lose your composure over a stranger. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
don't let a stranger control your emotions. I know it can be hard, but
yeah. Especially some of them are really good at pushing your buttons. They know exactly what to say that's going to get under your skin.
right. I mean, last year I could tell it was a kid because I have a 13-year-old son, and I even think it was one of his friends. All year there was this young Braves fan who would troll me, um, you know, and he'd be like, like, and start cursing at me. And I'd be like, listen, I don't know where you come from, guy, but you need to stop. Like, you need therapy. It's but a lot of times when I get trolls, I retweet them, and because I definitely think it's funny. Everybody needs balance anyway. Not everybody's gonna like you, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time. The last thing I want to get into, give me your thoughts on this club right now. I know it's not great, but where's your head at with this current team?
Yeah, so we're approaching the 50% mark in terms of games played. We're not there yet, but we're approaching it quickly. Um, and I've been looking at the team stats collectively from an offensive standpoint, where near the bottom of the league. Defensively, uh, in terms of preventing runs being scored on us, we're near the bottom of the league. We're lower middle tier. Uh, and that's a slow start, and you can't really blame it on injuries too much. It's the fact that we have guys on the roster where we're not meeting expectations. Now, the good news is that there's enough time to turn this thing around. However, we need to start seeing some actual signs and actual things that we can hang our hat on. And one of those things is winning the games that we should be winning. That would be a great start. And another thing, well, in order for us to do that, we would need the star players to play um, to the level that they're capable of playing. So if those things happen, we can turn this thing around. And it's hard for me to imagine this downward trend of poor performance continuing on for 90 more games. I definitely feel as though it's going to start turning around. Unfortunately, there's no hard evidence to put my finger on it. However, Max has to turn it around. Verlander, good start yesterday. Use that as a building block to turn it. The rest of our starting, hopefully we get something out of Quintana soon. Senga, continue to be, well, even Senga's got to get more consistent. From a hitting standpoint, our big boppers. Lindor's got to be better. Um, Marte, Marte's got to be better. From a lineup standpoint, give Vientos more consistent reps.
Preach.
You bringing up the kids, and you have an ad out talking about come see the kids. Let the kids actually play. Like to see Mauricio be called up. See, here's the one thing that other teams do when they have youth movements: they go all in and they let the youth actually play. Now, I understand that comes at the expense of some veterans, but veterans are grown-ups. They understand that this is performance-based, and you're not going to hurt their feelings. They're professionals. They will move forward, and they will be fine. So in terms of this, to answer your question, to kind of close it out, there is hope left. There is hope. They just have to start playing the way that they're capable of playing.
I couldn't agree more, man. I feel like I've said it over and over on my post-game shows and this and that and the other. And I think there's certain groups of Mets fans that are probably getting tired of hearing that. But I don't know. Me personally, yes, I can skew negative sometimes. But for the most part, I try to stay as positive as possible. I'm not one of those fans where nothing is ever wrong, but I try to stay like even keel with it. So yeah, everything you said was music to my ears, and I hope it happens, man. I hope we turn it around because it's been rough, and to have to see this the rest of the season would be tough.
Right, and also, you want to get into that top 3 wild card position, right? So you can get in, and you look at where the records are skewing. It's hovering right around 7 to 10 games above 500. So you kind of got to get going, and you got to get going soon.
Soon, yeah, because we're 4 under right now. I think.
Yep.
Yeah, my goal was to get to 500 by July. I don't know if we'll be able to do it or not, but that's my personal goal. Not that they care, but
16 days. No, 15.
Yeah. So I think they have to. I think when I originally said that, they had to go 10-6 at the time, and now they're 1-1 since then.
Okay.
So.
Well, I advise people not to do that because whenever I do that to myself, it fails. So try to be careful.
Yeah, I know. But I was just like trying to look ahead a little bit. I'm mostly a game by game guy, but I tried to look ahead a little bit. I'm like, at some point, this has to start to turn around. And the best, if we're not 500 by July, or at least very close, that's going to be a real uphill battle.
Right. The percentages of, or the chance of actually getting into this will significantly decrease. If you get your number correct.
One last random question. So if we come end of July, we're still in it, and it's trade deadline time. Is there a specific player that you would think that might be available that you'd want on the Mets team?
I want the White Sox to struggle so we can be in on Hendricks.
That's a good one. He's hurt, but he should be back by then.
Should be back by then. Another arm for the pen. In terms of, I feel like I sound like an idiot here what I'm about to say, but from an offensive standpoint, I believe we have enough in-house. We just have to clear the way for some of it to come to fruition, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's there. We have what we need. We just have to put it together for the most part. But the Bulls could definitely use some help. Looking at us facing the Yankees, that was coming at us with arm after arm after arm, quality arm too. I'm like, we don't have that. And it's not necessarily so much because of the actual players. It's because attrition hit with, the wear and tear, because we've been leaning on them so heavily, from the fourth inning on for a lot of these games. The bullpen is worn out. So we need to keep things fresh. And if we can improve some quality, it would be in the bullpen. And, if we could get another rotational piece, that would be a huge help because McGill and Peterson have been given constant opportunities, and we're starting to see that they may not have it. So
that is putting it very nicely, and I like that.
kind of.
Oh man, that's great. Well, man, I thank you so much. Before we go, I'm just gonna go ahead and do some shameless plugging here. If you're watching and don't already or listening, this is also on Apple, Spotify, all the other 50 billion podcast platforms. So if you're listening or watching, please follow Greg on Twitter. It's at the Real Black 14. That's the number 14. At Real Black 14. If you're looking for me on Twitter, I am at Amish Country Met. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. I need to get better at posting all my stuff on there too. At Amish Country Mets fan on those. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're not, please go to my YouTube and subscribe. Also at Amish Country Mets fan. I have a new show coming out with my buddy Chris here in a couple weeks. We do post-game shows. I do videos out in the farm with the pigs and whatnot. So check me out. Check Greg out. Listen to his jingles. They're absolutely amazing. I suggest you go back and look at find some of his older ones too if you haven't heard them before. So thanks again, Greg. Anything you have to say to the people before we go?
Yes, to you, I will be in Lancaster in late July. So if we want to take a photo together, that will be your chance. I will hit you up via DM and we can meet up for a cool photo.
Man, hit me up. I'm a little bit outside of Lancaster, but I'll make a drive. I don't care.
Oh, it can't be that far. How big is Pennsylvania? Come on.
Actually, it's pretty big if you think about it. But no, man, that would be great. Let me know for sure. Just give me a little bit of a advance warning, and I'll make it. I'll make it there.
Got it, my guy. And then my message to everybody on Mets Twitter: whether you're a positivo or a negativo, I love you. I enjoy fighting with the negativos and lifting up the positivos every. And LFGM, let's fucking go, man. Oh wait.
LFGM. Thanks everybody for listening.